The world as we know it is spiraling toward an abyss. And yet, one question echoes louder than all the others. The Antichrist, the figure long whispered about in the shadows of prophecy, was never supposed to appear. Not until the bride of Christ had been taken. Not until the faithful had been raised to heaven, freed from the chains of this earthly nightmare. But what if something has already changed? What if the final prophecy has already begun to unfold, unnoticed by us all? A profound shift has happened, hidden in plain sight. Something the world is too distracted to notice. Could it be that the one we have feared, the one the Bible warns will deceive the world, has already made his entrance? This isn't a theory. This is a reality, whispered in prophecy for millennia. And now, as the signs become clearer, we must ask ourselves, could we have missed it? Could the Antichrist have already come? Could he be walking among us today, disguised in the most unexpected of forms? Before we answer that question, make sure you're ready for what we're about to reveal, because what we're about to share will change everything you thought you knew about the final days. There is one name that has stirred the hearts of prophecy watchers and biblical scholars alike. A name that has raised eyebrows, sparked debates, and left many wondering, could Jared Kushner, of all people, be the Antichrist? Jared Kushner, the businessman, the son-in-law of former President Donald Trump, the man behind the historic Abraham Accords. A figure whose influence stretches deep into the corridors of power. But is there more to him than meets the eye? It all starts with the Abraham Accords, the agreements hailed as the most significant step toward peace in the Middle East in decades. Some believe these accords are not just diplomatic victories, but a harbinger of something far darker. Could Kushner's role in these agreements align with prophecy? A peace agreement that some say will usher in the rise of the Antichrist? Then, there's the address. 666 Fifth Avenue. The address itself is a chilling echo of the infamous number of the beast. But that's not all. His business dealings, the $2 billion deal with the Saudis, his deep ties to the Middle East, the warning signs are impossible to ignore. Kushner's involvement in efforts to rebuild the Third Temple in Jerusalem, a central event in biblical prophecy, raises another red flag. Could this be the key to unlocking the truth behind his rise? A man deeply involved in the very place where the Bible prophesies the Antichrist will appear. We've been warned for centuries. The Antichrist will appear as a man of peace, a man of diplomacy. Someone who is trusted, admired, even revered. But his true intentions? Far darker than anyone could imagine. According to prophecy, the Antichrist will be a master of deception, using his charm and influence to gain power. But once he has it, he will reveal his true nature, one of destruction, chaos, and spiritual ruin. Does Kushner fit this description? For centuries, scholars have debated the identity of the Antichrist. And while many have speculated about his origins, the Bible is clear on one thing: the Antichrist will rise from the ashes of the old world, from the remnants of the Roman Empire, from a place of great geopolitical significance. A leader will emerge who will unite nations under one banner. Could we be witnessing the formation of this very coalition? The Middle East, a region once under the shadow of the ancient Roman Empire, now teeming with power and influence. Europe, a continent still bearing the scars of its ancient empire. Together, these regions are the perfect breeding grounds for the rise of the Antichrist. The book of Daniel speaks of a time when a small horn will rise among 10 others. 10 kings, 10 rulers, who will form a coalition of power and influence. But the Bible warns us, this small horn, this seemingly insignificant leader, will rise from the midst of them. And from his position of power, he will deceive the world. It's said that the Antichrist will not seize control through force, but through influence. Through diplomacy, strategy, and a false promise of peace. He will unite these 10 kings, these 10 nations, and build a new world order, one that leads to destruction. The prophecy warns that this leader will rise in a time of great turmoil, in the midst of a world on the brink of collapse. A time when humanity will be desperate for peace. And this is where the deception takes root. Could Jared Kushner be the one who will unite these nations? Could he be the small horn rising among the 10? His influence in the Middle East, his ties to Israel, the Abraham Accords, all of these factors seem to align eerily with prophecy. But what does this mean for the future? The Antichrist's arrival will not only be marked by political maneuvering, but also by a terrifying spiritual event, the implementation of the mark of the beast. A symbol, a number, that for centuries has haunted the minds of Christians and prophecy enthusiasts alike. The mark, as it is called, will be required to buy or sell, to exist in society. And it's said to carry the number 666. But here's the terrifying truth. This mark may already be closer to reality than we think. In the book of Revelation, it is written that the Antichrist will cause all people to receive the mark on their right hand or forehead. No one will be able to buy or sell without it. Many have speculated about what this mark will look like. Some believe it could be a physical tattoo, others think it will be a microchip. But the truth is, the mark of the beast could take many forms, and it is already being set up in ways we never imagined. Take a closer look at the growing push for digital currencies, for surveillance technologies, and for biometric identification systems. Governments around the world are moving toward creating cashless societies, and the idea of a centralized global digital currency is gaining traction. Could these systems be the precursor to the mark of the beast? Could they be tools for control, for dominance, for the very thing that prophecy warned us about? The technology is already in place: RFID chips, biometric tracking, and digital IDs. The infrastructure is being built, step by step. And it won't be long before the systems are in place to enforce this global economic and social order. A system that will require complete compliance, or else you will be excluded from the global marketplace. The mark will not be just a physical object, it will be a way of life. Kushner's influence in the Middle East, his connections to powerful financial entities, and his ties to major tech companies raise a chilling possibility. Could he be part of the network that will bring about the rise of this system? The groundwork is being laid. Prophecy tells us that it will come, and the world, in its desperation for peace and stability, will accept it. But when it comes, it will be too late. It's easy to dismiss the rise of the Antichrist as something far off, a shadowy figure that will appear only after the faithful have been raptured. But prophecy is clear. The deception begins long before the final moment. And what we're seeing today, the political movements, the growing global influence of certain individuals, could be the very signs that we're already in the midst of this deception. The Bible warns that the Antichrist will be a master of manipulation. He will deceive the nations with his charm, his intellect, and his promises of peace. But this peace will be a lie. His true goal will not be the salvation of mankind, but the destruction of everything good and holy. What if the peace agreements we see today, from the Abraham Accords to the normalization of relations between Israel and several Arab nations, are part of the very deception that will pave the way for the Antichrist? These accords, hailed as miracles of diplomacy, may in fact be the first steps toward the realization of a far more sinister prophecy. Kushner's role in the Middle East, his connections to influential global figures, and his desire to broker a lasting peace could all be pieces of the puzzle. He's a man who has already played a key part in shaping the political landscape in the region, and he's connected to those who are pushing the world toward a single global system. The false Messiah won't just come from nowhere. He will come from within the existing political structures, and he will be seen as a savior, a man who brings the world together. But the Bible warns us that his true intentions are far darker. His ultimate goal is to turn humanity away from God, to set himself up as the object of worship, and to destroy all who refuse to follow him. His rise will be swift, and those who do not see the signs will fall prey to his lies. As we approach the final hour, it's crucial that we understand what is happening around us. The world is shifting. The pieces are moving. But most of us are too caught up in the distractions of daily life to notice the signs. The Bible tells us that in the last days, there will be wars and rumors of wars, famines, earthquakes, and pestilence. We've already seen these things: escalating conflicts, widespread disease, natural disasters on a global scale. But the Bible also warns us of the coming of a leader who will unite the world under a single banner, offering peace but bringing destruction. Is it possible that Jared Kushner is the one who will bring this peace? Could he be the false Messiah who leads the world to destruction? We can't ignore the patterns anymore. The rise of globalism, the push for a one-world government, the increasing influence of figures like Kushner, they all point to the possibility that we are living in the final days. But there's still time. There is still hope. The Bible also tells us that we are not without help. There is still time to turn to God, to seek His protection and guidance in these dark times. The coming of the Antichrist is inevitable, but the choice to follow God, to stay true to the teachings of Christ, is still yours. The end may be coming, but the beginning of a new life is waiting for those who are prepared. Will you be ready? The Antichrist's rise may seem distant, but prophecy tells us that it will come like a thief in the night. It will not be a single event, but a series of interconnected signs that will unfold gradually. Those who are aware of the signs will be able to see them for what they are. But for those who are not watching, the deception will be nearly impossible to escape. Jared Kushner's role in global diplomacy, his connections to the Middle East, his business dealings, and his involvement in the rebuilding of the Third Temple, all of these things may be part of a larger divine plan. A plan that we, as believers, are called to understand and prepare for. The signs are here. The world is changing. And while many are focused on the political drama of the day, the true drama is unfolding in the spiritual realm. The Antichrist is rising. But so is the call to turn away from the world and follow the truth. It's time to make a choice. Will you be deceived, or will you stand firm in the knowledge that God's plan will always prevail? If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We've got more deep dives into prophecy and revelations coming your way. What do you think about the idea of the Antichrist's rise? Do you believe these signs are pointing to something greater? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. Don't forget to share this with others who might be interested in the truth that's hidden in plain sight. Thank you for watching, and stay vigilant.